guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today is the monthly Q&A. That's when you guys go to my Instagram account, at Federico Talks Watches, and I put up the Q&A picture, and you guys ask your questions, and I try to answer a few of them. And we do this once a month. That way, it's a great way to interact with you guys. I can answer some questions, not always watch-related, and just interact a little bit. Anyway, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm wearing the super cool Breitling Chronomatic. No, I did not buy it for myself. This is a DelReyWatch.com piece. But, you know, as the owner, I'm doing a little bit of quality control because we always have to sell the best of the best, and I need to make sure it's functioning. Or it's just a perk of wearing it around the office. But as you can see, very cool neo-vintage styling. It's a chronograph. It's a big watch, this one. But it's got a ton of personality. I really enjoy it. But you definitely need a bigger wrist. Anyway, guys, if you want to check this out and more, DelReyWatch.com. Link in the description below. But let's get right into the questions. Tote Tolima says, are Beaudry watches any good? By the way, guys, I'm reading the questions off my computers. I am not being rude. Are Beaudry watches any good? Well, yes, they are. Most of them use standard ETA, but Beaudry also bought the Daniel Roth and the Gerald Genta brands, and they're making some awesome in-house movements at the moment, especially in their Octo line. Now, while they do make a fantastic product, they don't hold value particularly well, just because the demand isn't there. So if you're going to pick one up, remember, get it at a discount. But as far as quality, it's definitely there. The Me Time says, what recommendations can you give to someone looking to start vlogging? Well, buddy, the only recommendation I can give is just do it. Just start. As you can see, I don't know much about video editing. I don't know much about production value. Basically, I just like to interact. I'm not an expert at this thing at all. I've had some mild success on YouTube, but the biggest step is just starting. And be consistent, because one video, 2 videos, 3 videos, that's not going to do anything for you. You got to keep churning on content on a consistent basis. And you know what? The growth will come. So my biggest piece of advice is just do it. Frank Saul 125. How long do you stock a watch in your business before cutting your losses? Sell it at a loss to move inventory. Well, Frank, as a new business with limited cash flow, I always like to keep a watch in stock no more than 45 days. Then I will start lowering the price. But selling a watch at a loss, I will not do that. I think every watch has a buyer. Every watch can be sold. Will I sell it at cost? Sure. Will I sell it at a tiny 1% margin? If long enough has passed, I will. But sell it at a loss, I don't believe in that. Yet. Thank God I haven't had to. Cash flow hasn't been that bad. But yeah, no loss here. Brad's Butt 94. Brad, your butt's got an Instagram account. What are your opinions on fake Seikos? Been looking at a genuine Pogue, but have seen many with aftermarket dials and handsets. Well, I don't think those watches can be considered fake. They've got aftermarket dials and hands. But the Pogues especially have been very, very popular. They've been rising in price. And especially watches for sale in countries I've noticed, the Philippines, Argentina, they seem to have a lot of aftermarket parts, drastically bringing down the value. A lot of times they don't even advertise it as aftermarket. So if you're going to go into the vintage buying spree with a Pogue or with anything, do your research. What do I think with an aftermarket dial and hands? Listen, it's not ideal, but if the watch is in good shape, the movement is running, and the price reflects the fact that it's an aftermarket dial and handset, then I think go for it. Just don't expect it to hold or climb up in value like the all-original versions. Federico, do you know why new Rolex watches are being offered at higher prices at ADs than published on Rolex.com? Or is it possible to buy at list price minus 10%? From Tito, LAX. Tito, well, first of all, at an AD, you're going to be paying tax, so that might be that 10%, but most ADs should be selling them at the same price as Rolex.com. That's why they're an authorized dealer. As far as buying a Rolex with a 10% discount, Unless you want to buy a Datejust or a Cellini, keep dreaming, brother. I mean, maybe a gold sub or a gold Yachtmaster. But if you're looking for a normal sub or a GMT Master or a Yachtmaster 1, even a popular Datejust 2, 10% discount is just not going to happen. Not unless you're a very good customer with a lot of previous business, or if the AD is really struggling. That's just my 2 cents. A Temporal 1010, are you hiring? Not yet, but John and I have been thinking of bringing someone on to do some of the logistics, the shipping, the packing. It's a lot of work for 2 guys, but not right now, but you never know. Very soon, we hope. Maxwell Schuller, why haven't the Swiss brands used marketing aimed at young people, such as Daniel Wellington, Vincero, or Movement, to reach a new demographic? Also, consider doing a video on your Abarth 500. I'm curious how you like it. Well, Max, the Swiss watch industry is really backwards. When I used to work there a few years ago, they used to still advertise in newspapers and didn't know what YouTube or Instagram was. I think they will start marketing to a younger demographic, but historically that is not their market. Young people don't have the money that the Swiss watch brands are trying to get for their watches. I'm not saying that's entirely true, but that's what they think. But I do think that's going to change, and we will see a switch towards younger marketing. As far as the Abarth, I don't really know how to do a car review, but I can tell you I love that car. It's a lot more spacious than you might think, and it's a lot of fun. It's visceral, it makes noise. It's not super fast, but it's fast enough to get in trouble. But unfortunately, I think next month it's no longer going to be with me, as I'm upgrading to something else, also Italian and also very cool. Stay tuned. Allo Easy, where are you from in Italy, and why are you against Juventus, a soccer team? I'm from Napoli, and why am I against Juve? Well, because I'm from Napoli. I'm a Napoli fan. Juve is a rival. They've got all the money. They're the front runners. Some people say they're corrupt. I'm not going to make any judgments, but I'll keep, I know what I think, but I'm just not going to share it. And that's why I don't like Juve, because I'm from Naples. It's like saying, why don't the Yankees like the Red Sox? It just doesn't work that way. And Spano, do you think a 23-year-old can justify buying a Rolex? I recently got my master's and was hired as a scientist. Getting a Milgauss would be the beginning of a great story for the grandkids. What do you think? Well, Aunt, first of all, congratulations on your master's at 23 years old. Quite an accomplishment. What do I think? I think watches, age does not matter. I think it's a very romantic story to be hired as a scientist, to get your first Rolex, it being a Milgauss. It definitely is something cool to pass down to your grandkids. If you can afford it and afford it responsibly, I say go for it all the way. Who cares your age? Who cares what people think? Even though at 23 years old, you're a young man, but that's about the age I got my first luxury watch. I say if you can afford it, go for it. It's a beautiful occasion, and you deserve it. Jake Patriot, I thought you lived in Miami for some reason. Well, brother, I do live in Miami. I used to live in New York, but I moved to Miami almost a couple years ago, particularly North Miami Beach. That's where I live. So, no, you're not wrong. Eduardo Landsberg. Hey, Eduardo, how are you doing, brother? Why do Atmos, Jaeger LeCoultre Atmos clocks, do so poorly pre-owned? Well, Eduardo, fortunately, it's all about supply and demand. Very few people want a clock. It's not really something that's easy to sell. They're very expensive as well. They're not in demand. Most dealers sell them heavily discounted. I'm not saying they're a bad product. I like them as well. I'd happily have one in my house. But to spend $5,000 to $10,000 on a clock, A, doesn't make any sense to me right now financially, and B, it doesn't make sense to a lot of other people as well, which is why they can be had at such a discount. They're just not that easy to sell. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me for this Q&A. I really appreciate this. We're going to do this about once a month. If you want to participate next time, go follow me on Instagram. That's at Federico Talks Watches and at Delray Watch, my 2 Instagram accounts. And, of course, check out delraywatch.com, link in the description below. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around for another episode of Federico Talks Watches, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.